Welcome back to Method Cooking. Tonight we're talking about okra. What is it? What do you do with it? It's absolutely delicious and definitely worth checking out. So, we're going to do some fried okra tonight. Super popular dish, especially when it comes to hitting like barbecue joints or some of those kind of like restaurants in the South. So when you pick it, you want to make sure it's between like 4, maybe 6 inches long. Too big and it gets really fibrous. Too small and it's not worth the effort. So we're going to get those sliced up. And while they might be a little slimy normally, which adds a lot if you're making like a gumbo or any sort of like stewed dish, we're going to soak them in cold water, which is going to help pull some of that out before we put it in an egg mixture and add the seasoning. So traditionally, if you're doing fried okra, you're doing like a cornmeal or like a corn flour breading. So I'm going to use some masa because that's what I've got on hand. Additionally, I've got salt, pepper, granulated onion and garlic, and a little bit of paprika. That paprika is going to give it like a smoky flavor. It's also going to give it a nice kind of like a red, like burnt auburn once it fries up. So we're going to get that mixed up, crack a couple eggs, get the cut okra in some ice water, and then we're going to start frying. To get that dry seasoning blend started, we're going to start with about half, maybe 3/4 cup of that masa. Follow that with a little bit of kosher salt. A few cracks of fresh black pepper. You hear the fryer heating up in the background. I got that set to about 360, 375. So once that's done preheating, we should be about done with this mix. Be ready to go. So we've got some granulated garlic there, some granulated onion, and then a little bit of paprika. Like I said, that's going to be both color and flavor. Once that's all in the bowl, mix that up just a little bit so that everything is kind of evenly distributed. Set that aside. So we're going to crack a couple eggs. These are going to give something for all that seasoned flour to adhere to, so we have a nice crispy exterior while the inside cooks. If the egg mixture seems a little bit thick, sometimes I'll add a little bit of cold water just so it's not like slimy and goopy, just kind of like a nice wet outside for the okra to sit in. While the fryer is still warming up and with our bowl of ice water nearby, we're going to start cutting these into chunks. I guess chunks or slices. We're looking for like half, maybe a little over half-inch thickness and size. That's going to give a lot for the dry batter and the egg to adhere to. That way when they fry, yeah, it's not going to be nice and crispy, but we still got a nice bite of that garden fresh okra. With the okra cut, we're going to let that sit in the ice water for probably 5-7 minutes. Again, nothing exact, just kind of help like tighten everything up, especially that kind of like slimy goo that okra is known for. From there, we're going to pull out, shake off that excess water, and go into the egg mixture. From the egg, we're going to drop it into the dry mix and then into the fryer. After we let the okra sit for a little bit, we're going to pick it up and again with those same kind of like spaced out fingers, shake off that excess water. We're going to do these in small batches. Get that in the egg mixture, mix that around and make sure everything is fully coated. From there, we're going to pick it up and drop it into the seasoned masa flour mix and then right into the fryer. Again, with the fryer, once we drop it using kind of like that wet sticky batter, we're going to let it sit for a second and then shake the basket so that anything that's sticking to the bottom rises to the top. Make sure everything is nicely coated. And again, shake off any excess flour right into the basket. And down we go. As with all frying, whether it's the healthiest method or not, or just something absolutely delicious, it's all about the look, the color, and the sound. So you're going to see all those bubbles of water escaping. We're going to wait for those bubbles and kind of like water to evaporate to make sure that we've got a fully cooked inside and a nice crispy outside. Occasionally kind of shaking that basket, and if it starts to cook too quick, pull it up for a second, and then drop it back down. As you can see, the bubbles are starting to die down a little bit, which means most of that water is kind of evaporated, so these should be ready to go. When we pull up, we're going to let that basket hang on the side for a little bit, let all that excess grease drop off, and once these are kind of like dry and crispy, we're ready to go to the plate. Now that we've let that basket hang and all the excess oil drip off, and get those on the plate. And we're going to serve that with a kind of Creole style remoulade sauce. For that recipe, check out my other videos. But now that everything's ready to go and it's nice and hot, it's time to serve, eat, and enjoy. When you look up soul food or food from the South, fried okra is probably going to be in one of the top 5 things that pop up. There's jerk chicken, blackened catfish, gumbo, jambalaya, and then fried okra. Serving it like this or preparing it like this makes for an excellent appetizer or a side dish to a dozen different dishes. Now, whether you grow it yourself, get it from a friend or somebody in your family, hit the farmer's market or the store, okra is not as scary or as ugh as everyone says it is. It's simple to prepare, easy to cook, and absolutely delicious. So, I invite you to kind of expand your culinary imagination, try it out, and let everybody know what you think. Another episode of the Garden Series, growing and cooking what you got or what you have. As always, thank you for watching Method Cooking, and I'll see you next week.